Hey everyone, and welcome. Have you ever wished your equipment, the stuff out in the field, could just tell you what's going on instead of you having to guess? Well, you're in the right place. Today, we're going to dive into a super simple guide on how to make your machine smart, talkative, and honestly, a whole lot less of a headache to manage.
All right, let's jump right into the big problem, right? Your machines can't talk. You've got all this important gear in factories, on farms, maybe spread across a dozen buildings, and they're just silent. They're working away, but they have no way to tell you if they're about to break down or if they need a little help.
But just for a second, imagine, what if it could? What if that pump out in the field could send you a quick text saying, hey, my pressure is dropping? Or the security gate at a remote site could shoot you an email every single time it opens? I know it sounds a little like science fiction, but this is a very real solution to a very real problem.
And that problem is super simple. You can't be in two places at the same time. I mean, nobody can. Sending your team out to physically check on all your remote equipment costs a ton of money and eats up so much time. You're left guessing, which means you're always playing catch-up, just reacting to problems after they've already happened. Okay, so this is where a big fancy term usually pops up, the Industrial Internet of Things, or IIoT. But don't let the jargon scare you off. It's actually really simple. As Sollae Systems puts it, it's just about being able to manage your stuff from anywhere. That's it. It's the tech that finally gives your equipment a voice.
So how exactly do we give our machines this voice? Well, let's think about it like we're building a person, right? Every person needs senses to understand what's going on around them, and they need hands to actually do things.
We're basically giving our equipment its own little nervous system. And the stars of this show are these Sollae SIG devices, that's S-I-G. Think of them as tiny, brilliant translators. They take real-world stuff like temperature, pressure, whether a door is open, and turn it into data that can zip across the internet.
So this SIG 54X1 family is like a small team, a little crew, with three main players. You've got the 5431, which we call the senses, because it measures things. Then there's the 5441, the listeners, which just checks for simple on or off states. And finally, the 5451, which we call the hands, because it's ready to take action.
So let's look a little closer at the senses, the SIG 4531. This little guy has 4 analog inputs. Now, analog just means it measures a whole range of values, not just a simple on or off. It can tell you how much, how hot is it, what's the water level at, is the pressure high or low. It feels the details.
Next up are the listeners, the SIG 541. These guys deal in what's called digital inputs, which are basically just yes or no questions. Is the power on? Yes. Is the gate closed? No. It just listens for those two simple states, and it has this really cool counter function built in, so you can track things like how many times a door is opened all day. Pretty neat.
And last but not least in our trio, we have the hands, the SIG 545-1. Now this device doesn't sense or listen, it acts. It's got 2 digital outputs, which are basically just switches you can control from your phone or computer. You can tell it to fire up a pump, sound an alarm, or open a valve, all from anywhere in the world. It's the doer of the group.
Okay, so we've got our senses and our hands out in the field doing their jobs, but all that information they're gathering has to go somewhere to get processed, right? It needs a brain.
And that brain is the Sollae Cloud. This is the central hub, the headquarters, where all the data from all your SIG devices gets collected. This is where all that raw data, all those numbers and signals, gets turned into information you can actually use.
And listen, this isn't just any brain. It's built on Amazon Web Services, so it's super stable and reliable. It's got top-level security with Google Authentication, and it lets you do all the cool stuff, monitor in real time, control your hands from anywhere, and even set up automatic rules. You know, like, hey, if the temperature gets too high, automatically turn on the cooling fan. The brain handles it for you.
So, we have our senses out on the ground, and a powerful brain up in the cloud. But how do you actually interact with it all? You need a face for the system, right? A screen, a command center.
And that command center is called Sollae Studio. This is your window into everything. It's the dashboard where you can see what all your devices are up to and tell your hands to get to work, all with a simple click or a tap.
And this, right here, this is the real game changer. The old way of building these control panels was a nightmare. Seriously, it required complicated programming, took weeks or even months, and you needed super expensive software and developers. But with Sollae Studio, it's a free tool that's just simple drag and drop. Anybody can build their own custom dashboard in a few minutes, no coding, no developers, no headache.
All right, we've met all the pieces of the puzzle. the senses, the hands, the brain, and the command center. Now let's just quickly walk through how they all work together in one beautiful, seamless flow.
It's really just a simple 4-step journey. First, a sensor out there measures something. Step 2, one of our SIG devices translates that measurement and securely sends it up to the brain, the Sollae Cloud. Third, the cloud thinks about it, processes it, and checks if any of your automatic rules have been triggered. And finally, boom, you see it pop up on your Sollae Studio dashboard, and you decide if you need to take action. Simple as that.
So after all that, what's the real payoff? Why does any of this matter to you? Well, it boils down to some pretty huge benefits. You save a ton of time by not having to drive out to remote sites, you slash your costs on things like fuel and maintenance, you become way more efficient because you're making smart decisions with live data, not old guesses, and maybe most importantly, you can start predicting problems before they shut you down.
And that really brings us to the final thought here. This technology isn't just about watching blinking lights on a screen, it's about unlocking potential you never knew you had. So, I'll just leave you with this question. What could you fix, what could you improve, or what amazing new thing could you create if you could finally hear what your machines have been trying to tell you all along? Thanks for tuning in.